Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got a great lineup for all of you today. Really kicking it up big time so that all of you can do what I learned how to do. But boy, it took me forever. And that is to tap in to the truth of who we really are. Today, I'm so thrilled that Sherrie Dillard is joining us here today. We have copies of her fabulous book that we're going to be giving away today as well. And hot off the press, You Are Psychic. Discover your natural intuition through psychic type. We're going to talk about the psychic types. We're going to talk about what they are. We're going to talk about what a great book this is. And by the way, later on, guess what? We're going to be taking your calls. If you choose to call in to get a little insight, both of the hours today are all about this. Now, many of you know Sherrie, especially from the radio show she does, radio, television, but mostly you know her because she's somebody that doesn't just talk about what it means to be psychic, but has given over 50,000 plus readings worldwide. And the author of at least 8+ books. More importantly, though, it's always been, and I know this about Sherrie, it's always been about delivering a message that's going to help people live life full out. That's really what I know about Sherrie. That's what I know about her work. That's what I know about her radio shows. That's what I know about her message. It's how can we bring that part of you to the forefront, shine a bright light on it so that you can go through life in the slide and glide of it. Today, we're going to be talking about, you are psychic. Sherrie, it's great to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pat. I'm so thrilled to be here today with you.
I love this because, so when I was young, I didn't understand about psychic. You know, my experience was, the first experience that I documented was when I was in Catholic boarding school. I was 6 years old, and I was sitting there in the church over the weekend because my sister didn't come get me. And I was sitting there with a whole church full of nuns, right? And I looked to the left, and there was the ninth station of the cross. And I pulled on the habit, which is the clothing that Sister Michael Anthony had. And I said, Jesus just talked to me and said that my mother was with him. And needless to say, she grabbed me by the ear, if I might say, and dragged me over to the Mother Superior, which we then found was not in the church, in her office. And I walked in, and this is the weirdest thing. I can remember this, Sherrie, like it was yesterday. This is so weird. What's going on right here with this? And Mother Superior looked up with tears in her eyes, and she had a note. And so Sister Michael Anthony was saying how blasphemous I was, that I would even think that Jesus would talk to me. And so the next thing that Mother Superior said about what I heard Jesus say was that, yes, your mother is with Jesus. My mother had committed suicide.
Oh, my God.
That's my first experience. And I know that you're here to say we all have these abilities. But had I stayed on my path with acknowledging these, or maybe have talked to you, maybe had known you, maybe you had your books out, my life wouldn't have gotten seriously awkward growing up. But how often, Sherrie, and this is my first question to you, how often do we deny this to ourselves?
That was an amazing story. That was an amazing story, Dr. Pat. I have to tell you, just the connection you have with Jesus, too.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm kind of blown away by that.
Mm-hmm.
To answer your question, how often do we deny it? We probably, honestly, every day of our lives, we probably deny it in some form. And that happens to people that are even intuitive in nature and who sometimes use their intuition. Sometimes we do deny it, kind of blanket denial, like in terms of refusing to even acknowledge that ability within oneself. That's pretty strong too. I mean, I think it's changing somewhat. People are definitely becoming more open to it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's still unfortunately something that a lot of people are very uncomfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I have to tell you, when you were doing a show with us, I would listen to all your shows. I would just listen to you. Sure. And I still listen to you because we've got all the archives up and they're always being updated. And we give everybody a player widget. And if we run your shows, we go back and play some of the archives. And I remember, it was about 2 weeks ago, I was listening to something you were saying. And I stopped myself because what I realized was that while you were talking about we must trust our intuition, and you would not say it like that, Sherrie. You're much more diplomatic than I am, man. I was like, yeah. It was about trusting your intuition, and I wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
And something you said just flipped it around for me. How important is it for us in this day and age where we are bombarded with information to trust our intuition? Yeah,
isn't that the truth, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Probably more than ever, because as you said, there's so much out there now information-wise, and also we've kind of, blown up this whole energy of illusion and what is true and what is real and what does that even mean anymore. What we used to rely on in terms of, hard fact is become, who knows, who really knows. It depends on who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. And so it's so important because the real truth, I think we're going to hopefully discover from all of this, really lies within us as individuals and not externally. I think that's in part, I think, what we've lost over the years, and we haven't really noticed that. It's been something that has been kind of subtle in that, we've relied on outer sources for information, for facts, for what's right, what's wrong, what to believe in, what not to believe in. And we become somewhat dependent on that in the way that we have lost our ability to recognize our own inner truth and to recognize what's coming at us. Is it true for me? Is this something in my heart? Is this something in my soul that has that ring of, truth to me or not? And ultimately, that's how hopefully one of the things we can learn through this period we're in is we've got to keep reflecting everything back to our own inner self, our inner voice, which is our intuition. Really that's simply what it is. It's our own inner voice. It's our own depth of truth within our heart and soul that we have access to.
Yeah. And this book, what you've written in this book is an invitation for all of us to develop this natural intuition. But you also give us a blueprint, so to speak, my words, the 4 psychic types. And I think that what that does is it helps us understand a little bit more about what is going on within us. Because when we say the word psychic, we sort of generalize, don't we? Like it's a one size fits all, but it's not really.
No, and it's something I've found that psychic is really linked to something more paranormal, which is something that doesn't really, it's something out there. It's something, it's phenomena out there that we have to, I think sometimes that some psychic teachings have to do with kind of trying to harness something external, or develop something external to us. And so the reason I came and, have used the psychic types is because I wanted people to recognize that within their own thoughts, their feelings, even their physical body, their dreams, whatever it may be that they experience on a daily basis, that their intuition is working through that they can access it. It's simply part of all of that too. It's not something external or that we have to, kind of wrangle with and figure out. It's something that is very common to all of us every day.
Well, let's take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what the psychic types are and how do we tap in to knowing not only what they are, but how the vibrational frequency that's happening around us is part of our journey. What if we're always being given this beautiful energy? Let's just call it psychic energy, intuition. What if it's always out there available to us for anything and everything? What if? Sherrie Dillard, when we come back. The book is You Are Psychic, Develop Your Natural Intuition Through Your Psychic Type. We'll be right back.
Stay juicy. Tune in to Your Juicy Love with me, Una Drake, co-hosting monthly with Dr. Pat, and every second Monday at 12 p.m. on Transformation Talk Radio. My show, Your Juicy Love, helps you find the dynamic, life-affirming love you've always wanted. Transform your relationships and bring peace, joy, and juicy, juicy love to planet Earth. For more information, visit unadrake.com.
Darcy Pariso is your connection to spirit, energy, and healing. You can meet Darcy in person at upcoming events throughout Seattle. Do you have questions about your animal companions, yourself, or do you desire to communicate with loved ones on the other side? Darcy will connect you and get answers. Darcy can also work with energy healing to help you and your animal companions feel more balanced and recharged. Visit darcypariso.com/events.
This is Debbie Pokornik with a moment for standing in your power. Self-control begins with noticing how different feelings present themselves in your body. When you're feeling sensitive, for example, your chin might quiver, tears might well up in your eyes, and your voice might catch in your throat. Anger, on the other hand, might appear as tension in your jaw, back, or arms, along with clenched fists, heat in the upper torso, scowling, and a strong desire to yell. The more aware you become of your body cues, the easier it will be to recognize when you're on the road to disaster. Choose the emotions that cause you problems, then start noticing and logging the body cues that come with them.
For information and to work with Debbie, visit empoweringnrg.com. That's empoweringnrg.com.
Dream on, fly high, and live adventurously on The Laura Meeks Show. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio as host Laura Meeks guides you in finding your unique gifts and bringing them to life. As a certified life coach, speaker, and veteran bomber pilot for the U.S. Air Force, Laura knows how to follow a dream. She is ready to support you so you can dream on, fly high, and live adventurously. For more information on Laura and her work, visit flyhighliving.com.
Are you ready to attract abundance, release stress, look and feel younger, all from your smartphone? Get Pure Light, a free mobile app with audios that transmit powerful frequencies to shift anything in your life. Created by some of the world's top energy healers, these audios have created miracles, often quickly. Enjoy the latest in conscious technology and download Pure Light today. To find out more, visit purelightaudio.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Sherrie Dillard's in the house. And as I said before, we are going to do a few readings as we move into the show later on in the show, especially in looking at the 4 psychic types. I want to just say to everybody, if you want more information about Sherrie, you can go to her website, Sherrie Dillard, DILLARD.com. And go ahead and do that. And there's lots of information there as well about who she is, what she does, and how you're going to be able to find out all about the books that she has written, because they're all there as well, and her services, what she does, and how you too can tap into this. One of the things I love about all of this is that we also have a copy, Benny, of the book to give away. We have a couple. So let's go ahead and give our first copy of the book away. And the book I'm referring to is You Are Psychic. Sherrie is also the author of best-selling book, Discover Your Psychic Type. 1-800-930-2819. Love to give a copy of the book away. 1-800-930-2819. You know, Sherrie, this has always been a mystery to me, this notion of trying to figure out for myself how I get information. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know there were types. And you've been able to capture the essence of these types to help people more or less, I think, hone in and fine tune, you know, their talent and skill in developing intuition. Tell us about the 4 types.
Well, the four types are emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual. Emotional intuitives tend to intuit primarily through their emotions. They can feel others' feelings, which is similar, obviously, to empathy and empath. An emotional intuitive also, part of the difference between maybe empathy and feeling someone else's feelings psychically is that you can feel someone else's feelings, when they're hundreds of miles away, and you're not even aware that it's their feelings you're feeling until you maybe find out information about them or, a friend or something like that. But emotional intuitives primarily intuit through the heart. I'm just going to go through them quickly because there's so much about psychic types. Mental intuitives intuit primarily through their thoughts or a sense of knowing. Physical intuitives absorb energy information through their physical body. They might get gut feelings, sensations. The hairs on their arm might, tingle. And a spiritual intuitive intuits through the energy field. A lot of times a spiritual intuitive may receive energy information through dreaming, through kind of spiritual intuitives are the real spiritual type where they have that sense of awareness about people, about things. Sometimes see people's auras, or they'll, just be able to have this kind of innate sense of wisdom. Like old souls sometimes are spiritual intuitives.
And, what's interesting is as we get to know which one of these we are, or any combination, so to speak, it's going to help us, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. Because I along with what I just said, there's also certain personality characteristics that each type has too. So it helps us understand ourselves as a whole being, as an intuitive being. So it's not an extra added, just about here I am, just this person, and I listen to my intuition. It's kind of an intuitive self, a way to be in the world as a whole being. And so Absolutely. It helps us to kind of recognize that, like I was saying, in our everyday lives, emotions, thoughts, all of that. It's kind of like the little, I started doing psychic types. I started working with people with this because people didn't know how to approach intuition. It seemed too abstract to them, too out there. Like they couldn't relate to necessarily themselves because they had a preconceived idea of what it was. So then when I started helping people to see how they're already intuiting, it became more of an aha moment, and it became easier to develop intuition.
Yeah. Well, it was easy for me when I was reading your other books. It was really easy because people that know me or that know us, let's say you're somebody that appears outgoing on one level and then, is constantly wanting to have some quiet and some peace. I shared a story on air about, it had to be around 2009. And I shared a story that I was driving from the studio across I-90 and my windshield lit up. Like it literally like lit up with a picture of it. It was like the sun's coming in on the I-90, and all of a sudden my windshield got transformed into the vision that was to become Transformation Radio. And Transformation Radio and Transformation Talk Radio, none of that had been developed. And I got this insight, and I could see all the channels. And I could see how they were going to be related to each other. And it was all there. And so what was fascinating about it was, the good news was I didn't tell a lot of people, but I started to come back and connect the dots of things that started to show up in my life. All of a sudden, a radio network says, you got to start a network because your friend just wrote a bad check and I've got to pay the mortgage. And Transformation Talk Radio was born. So, I have been labeled in my life as a daydreamer. I have corporate performance reviews that say that. And without understanding and reading your book, you could think you're losing your mind. Seriously. Linda will tell you. Linda scheduled this. Linda will tell you that almost all my life, I have been labeled as being from another planet.
That's funny.
Right?
I don't mean to laugh, I'm sure. Yeah.
But it's pretty funny when you think about it, yet I see these things, and they do come through in light. And what I want to ask you about is, what do we say to the folks that may be reading your book and might have these experiences, yet everybody around them thinks they're losing it?
Well, I would say that a couple things. One, and that's, in the book, I talk about the development when people decide to acknowledge that they're having intuitive feelings, images, visions, thoughts, whatever. It kind of, what happens is that it sets us off a journey into a whole new who we are, a whole new sense of self and what the world is. And I connect that journey to the some of the work of Joseph Campbell, who did the hero's journey. Yeah. Because what happens is that people are going to bump into that obstacle. People are going to bump into a lot of obstacles, and that's one of them. Mm-hmm. One obstacle is I am woo-woo, I'm out there, I'm losing my mind. And what I talk about is the different obstacles, and religion is another one that, you spoke about that at the beginning. Yeah. But with every obstacle, there's also a gift. Mm. And that's what we have to remember. And the gift of getting through that obstacle and acknowledging that, yes, this is happening and it makes me feel crazy. Mm-hmm. It makes me wonder if I'm losing my mind. When you can go deeper into that and listen within again and really follow like you did and trust it, that's what tends to happen. What tends to happen is we get this incredible, when we accept it, we get this incredible affirmation, and life comes and supports us like it did you. When you got the transformation radio image, vision, life came to support it because you accepted it. You accepted that this happened. I'm going to go forward with it. I'm going to accept also that I have this sense I might be out of my mind with this, but I'm still going to take that risk. A lot of growth in life is about risk and reward. And that's what psychic development is. It's risk and reward and it's not just the reward of the external, which is great when you have that affirmation that life supports you and you're able to build the vision and you're able to succeed. But we also have the inner success too, which is that there's something more to us, and that something more to us feels really good.
Yeah. I looked at these, and we're going to talk about this as we move forward here. We're going to talk about, this innate psychic type, this influence. We're also going to talk about the connection of spirituality. I believe my mom was this emotional intuition type, my mom who committed suicide. And by the way, nobody knew she committed suicide. It wasn't until years later my stepmom handed me letters from my mom after her first attempt. But I think this was her. I think she was such a loving person. She absorbed this emotional. But for me, I'm looking at these types, and here's the question I would love to address when we come back. Is it possible to be more than one type? And if you are, is it important to pick which one you are most like? Yeah, that's what I want to ask you. Am I sounding a little like I can't decide? Let's take a short break. Questions for Sherrie. Sherrie Dillard's in the house. 1-800-930. What's that number, Benny? 2819. Look, I'm getting all discombobulated. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back.
To see your life from an angel's perspective, book a personal consultation with Claire Candy Huff, angelic walk-in angel Ariel at Angel Healing House. Candy provides intuitive counseling, Reiki, and angel readings in person in Los Angeles or nationally and internationally via phone or Skype. She will channel the practical tools you need to transform your life. Call now, 831-277-3716, or visit angelhealinghouse.com.
Interested in deepening your spiritual practice? The School for Esoteric Studies offers online training to spiritual seekers from all paths of life and individual coaching. Our courses synthesize Eastern and Western spiritual traditions based on meditation, study, and service applied to everyday life. To learn more about our courses and services, please visit www.esotericstudies.net. Defining success and putting minds to work. With the Higher Learners Career and Leadership Series, Rudy Racine will help you craft your personal definition of success, offering support and guidance as you move forward towards your goals. Take the leap. With the right mix of focus and motivation, anything can be achieved. Tune in every first and third Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 Eastern, and for more information on Rudy Racine and Higher Learners, visit Rudy's site at higherlearners.com. That's HIRE learners.com.
Tune in to Knowledge Book Radio with host Marge Potasic each Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Through many experiences, Marge was led to the Knowledge Book, a gift to humanity in its transition to the Golden Age, and it provided the truth and the answers. She now shares information from the Knowledge Book with you each week on TransformationTalkRadio.com. For more information, visit usa.theknowledgebook.net.
To find answers to life's questions, you need to look within yourself. Dr. Glenna Rice brings your questionable conversations on Transformation Talk Radio each month. Tune in each month for insight into how you can live up to your full potential. Dr. Glenna is a physical therapist, certified Access Consciousness, and Access Body Class Facilitator. How does it get any better than this? For more information on Dr. Glenna Rice and her work, visit glennarice.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Boy, those books are gone. And Eugenia, we'll get to you in a minute. Sherrie Dillard's in the house. For more information about Sherrie, go to sherriedillard.com. The book that I am so fascinated with, actually all of Sherrie's books, You Are Psychic, Develop Your Natural Intuition Through Your Psychic Type. So what I was saying, and then Eugenia, we'll get to the phone in 1 second. Before the break, what I was saying was, I think that up until this past weekend, I was a bit confused at figuring out which type I was. And then after this weekend, I had an epiphany as I started to read more about the types in your book. And I have always been told that I have a bizarre imagination, that every time I come into the office on a Monday, I've got a new idea. And they're like, oh, my God, she's going to come into the office with this new idea now. And I'm thinking about this. My boss told me as an executive that he thought I lived on another planet. And I went through your book and I felt relieved. I felt relieved because I started to read about these types. And then I thought, this explains why when I'm in public, and people engage me like I'm on the air. And I don't talk. I'm very quiet. I am such an introvert. I'm so high on the introvert scale. They made me take the Myers-Briggs 4 times.
Wow.
But then I got it. And so I want to ask you this. Can we be more than one type? And is there a dominant type?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
That absolutely, in fact, it's the optimum to recognize all 4 types within you. Because if we're out of balance and one type is really high, we tend to, let's take emotional intuition.
Okay.
Someone who is very high emotionally intuitive and not balanced in the other ones will intuit emotions to the degree, emotional energy. And if it's toxic emotional energy, they're in an environment, we'll say, that's kind of toxic in some way in terms of people gossiping or negativity, and they're soaking in all these feelings, it could actually very much adversely affect them.
Yeah.
So it's important to recognize and develop all of the type, all 4 within us. But there's absolutely one dominant type, and sometimes 2. Sometimes people will tell me that they feel even dominant, or you know, all 3 of them feel equal, which is fine. The important thing is to recognize, though, that, you know, to feel some affinity with the types, and to, especially for people when they're just beginning, it's important maybe to focus on one type just to become more familiar with their intuition through the awareness of that type within them.
Yeah, I was very struck by this, and I'll tell you why in a minute, because and Linda and I, we always banter back and forth about this, right? It is, when I think about how sick I got in 2004, 6 months after doing this, saying yes to this radio show, I am very clear today that what happened to me was I absorbed everybody's feeling about how I was wasting my life. I am pretty sure my partner at the time, so forth. But I wouldn't call it a dominant thing. So I was looking at this over the weekend, and I said, I wonder if I switch. But let's hold that thought, and let's go to the phone. Mr. Benny.
Yes, we will take Eugenia calling in from Kirkland. Hello, Eugenia.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Hi.
Good, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I'm really enjoying this show. And just Sherrie's energy is just, it's so soothing.
Oh, she's amazing.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Great conversation. I really, like I said, I'm enjoying it. And I think I've got to get the book so I can learn more about which one I am. Like you said, I see a mix of all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe we can help you. Do you have a question for Sherrie today?
Yeah. So I have this fear that, I'm not going to ever have enough money to retire, and retirement means to me to, be able to walk away from a regular job and maybe pursue my other talents. And but I didn't do a good job of planning for that, so I want to know if you see anything regarding that retirement.
Oh, this is good. This is good. This is a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. I'll tell you, lately, there's been so many, people are so shifting career-wise lately. Yep. It's just like a big transformation. But let me look at your energy and see what I get here. All right. So this is 2018. All right. What I'm getting is that I'm feeling it's going to be 1.5 to 2 years. And then I'm feeling there's going to be let me see, that would take us into 18, 19, 20. Yeah, probably about 20, 21. What I'm getting is kind of, and this is going to happen before that, but I get this surge for you of energy building up. Like you're learning more. There's something internally gelling for you even stronger right now, I get. And I get that that's going to kind of build within over the next year and a half or so. And that momentum it's going to be kind of like a flower just bursting open within you. And when that bursting open I get for you is going to be you being able to be in the world in a different way. That's going to be it's going to be definitely financially supporting for you. And that I get going into long term. So I get you going into work, in other words, that I don't feel you're going to feel real pressed to retire right away. I feel like it's going to be something, not what you're doing now. You're going to shift out of that. But the message I keep hearing for you is to continue. The thing you don't want to do now is worry too much about this, stress too much about it, and feel like it's never going to happen. Because I get that if you can continue to learn now, that's the big thing I get, is focus on what you would like to be doing, put more energy into that, because I keep getting, this is actually one of those times where there's so much happening internally. It's just not the time. It just has to happen for a while longer, and just keep putting energy there, and then it's going to surface. And I do feel very good. The good thing about you too is you've got a lot of energy for the future. A lot. You're going to have like a whole second wind coming for you. So take the word stress out of that, put it into inner development and focus, and you're going to be just fine.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. So what you're saying is that I'll leave what I'm doing now, and then if I just keep focusing on what I'm doing as far as my studying and just keep doing that, and it will kind of naturally evolve. It's not something I have to make happen. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mean, at the point when you're ready to make it happen, you'll make it happen. Right now, I just don't get you ready yet. There's still some, internal, there's still some growth, some studying, but I'm definitely saying you're going to leave what you're doing and go into some new work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. May I jump in for a minute?
Sure.
Yes, please.
You know what this reminds me of? I'm going to make a long story really short. When I was 23 years old, I turned to Linda and I said, I'm going to get a PhD. Now, mind you, I barely graduated high school. I was coming off being homeless. I was pushing a mail cart at Bell Labs. And I turned to my best friend, who's now my producer. And that's what I said to her. And her answer to me was, absolutely, you will. And then I asked her what a PhD was. because the bottom line for me is I delivered mail to these scientists, like the guy that discovered the Big Bang. And at the end of their name was PhD. But off I went with my life. And because Sherrie is right, I had to learn some things in my own spiritual growth. And when I lost my job in 1992, 6 years short of a pension, all of the question marks that you just raised came up. Oh my gosh, what do I do now? And my boss was firing me, the veins popping out of her neck. And a voice said to me, and I could see it, call Columbia University. Now, I had signed up for Columbia 2 years before, and I had 45 minutes to get from Jersey to New York. But this is the kind of intuition, and that's why I'm sharing this story. Because I went back to school thinking that I would get this big fat corporate executive job. And when I was done, I was so depressed about what I studied. And I dialed the wrong phone number, and here I am. Now, that's a big, long story to really get to the thing I'm going to say to you now. If we can simply trust and hold on to your absolutely right vision for everything you desire in life, if you can hold on to that, or get some help if you need it, call Sherrie. But if you need to remember that, call us and we'll help you remember. Because this is not a cosmic joke. You're not on somebody's comedy strip to go off and study something that isn't divinely anointing you. Do you see what I mean?
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that story. That really...
Yeah. I didn't know that I went to school for 8 years for 100,000 plus education so that you all can rename the show from Crust Busting to the Dr. Pat Show. It took 2 years for that message to get to me. I never told anybody I had a PhD. That's how ashamed I was. So
Wow.
hold on to it. Hold on to it. It's yours.
Thank you so much for sharing that story, and thank you for doing what you did so you can be here now to help us to step forward into what we're supposed to be doing.
You're amazing. I'm going to follow your journey because it's already done. Thank you so much for calling in. I know a lot of people were thinking exactly what you just said. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I think we are taking your calls. We may have time for another question. Sherrie, I just had to add that. Now, you have written a book that helps explain what I just said. But I didn't understand my life and what was happening. What you've done in this book is you've helped me, even as recently as yesterday, understand my gift a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But yet there are obstacles that show up. Tell us about the obstacles.
Well, we talked a little bit about some of the obstacles in terms of, religious beliefs, doubt. Well, actually, we didn't talk about doubt. Let's talk about
doubt.
Doubt is like the big one. Doubt is like the big one.
Yep.
And doubt is just another word for fear. Mm-hmm. And doubt, when it comes to intuition, is all pervasive, it seems. We can doubt every single thing about our intuition, if it exists, can I trust it, et cetera, et cetera. So it's important for people to recognize that doubt comes from the ego self. Doubt comes from that part of us that wants to maintain control and a sense of power. And that when you let go into intuition, in essence, what you're also doing is you're letting go of that sense of external control of things. And that's why it provokes fear in people, because it's out of our control. When things come to us, and it puts us in that position, like, one of the things that you have going for you, Dr. Pat, among many hundreds of other things, mm-hmm. is that you're kind of fearless, you know? You have incredible courage. And so you've had the courage to receive this information, guidance, intuition, but also to act on it. And when we are able to act on it, it's difficult. It's not the easiest thing to do. Mechanism
I want to ask
to
you
prevent
this
us
question.
from trusting ourselves. What do you want to ask?
Well, I want to ask you about this because my experience with doubt has been fear is usually, I'm right there with it. When I'm afraid of something, I get it. Doubt is a little bit more insidious. It's a little bit more,
I agree.
What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know the word. What's the word?
I think that you said that when you said insidious. I agree with you so much. And doubt is that little voice. It's that little voice that comes back over and over and over. I'm not good enough. I'm not intuitive. I can't trust myself. What if this happens? What if that happens? But doubt really belongs to ego. Doubt really belongs to that sense of, what are we going to choose here? Are we going to choose to listen within and open that door and allow whatever need, to trust to take that step, or are we going to maintain control? Now, there's different forms of doubt too. Sometimes doubt is very simple in terms of expectation, because sometimes doubt with intuition comes in more as expectation in the way that, well, this is what it should be like to be psychic, or this is what, how do I know that it's really not my thought or my feeling? How do I know that I'm not making this up out of what I desire to have happen or I want to have happen? So that kind of doubt that comes up sometimes can be actually helpful to us. Sometimes it can. It's horrible because it gets in our way. But that's one of the things I go into in depth in the book. In fact, I kind of focused a lot of the book, not everything, there's a lot in there. But one of the things I really wanted to embrace and attack was how to know what is coming from real, true energy information and what's coming from our own sense of our own thoughts, our own brain, our own emotional reactions, our own desires. And I gave very clear signs of how intuition surfaces, and that will actually help a lot of people with doubt, because I think that's when it comes to development, besides the bigger picture of doubt, the smaller part of it is simply we don't really quite know truly what energy information is, what intuitive information actually feels like. And now the examples you gave in many ways were pretty clear, but they're not always that clear, they're really not always that clear. Sometimes they're incredibly subtle. In fact, most intuition is very subtle. It's that quiet, still voice, or that repetitive, low-toned, even kind of feeling or knowing or awareness. It doesn't always kind of scream and get our attention,
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting because it's so important to know this. One of the things that we're going through our last phase of technology, and, we've been looking at do this, do that. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there about 2 weeks ago, and I just thought to myself, well, why don't I just get a loan? And, we can start this, get it done, because, for our expansion, I can't even begin to tell you exponentially what will happen when we finish our technology. And so, we built this system based on what our listeners and what all of you as hosts said you want. So I'm sitting there and I just not even thinking, go online, start to look at loans, find a company that I had borrowed from and paid back before, looked at them, filled out the application within 3 minutes, called me, finished the thing. They needed 2 pieces of papers, just 2. Do you know I sat on that for 10 days and I didn't send them the paperwork because of what a belief I had. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to send it to him. Within 3 hours, the money was deposited in my bank.
Wow.
And this is really subtle because it was so subtle. It wasn't like the sky opened up, Sherrie, and all of a sudden do this and go here and do this. Aren't the subtle cues, right? Aren't they so important for us to learn how to see them?
Yeah, and to even, absolutely, to see them and to trust them and to know that that's really what it is. That's really reliable information. That is, that's the thing about reliable energy information, is that it always has our highest good as its intent. Absolutely, 100%. Our intuition has only one reason for being for us, and that is to help us, to support us, to make our lives better. And so we can always trust it, but we just don't recognize it always.
Well, I want to make sure everybody knows this about you, Sherrie. One is that if you all go to Sherrie's website, Sherrie Dillard, DILLARD.com, and Sherrie's going to be back because we've got more to talk about. One of the things I want you all to know is look at the classes. There's a tab on her website that talks about services, of course, her readings and mentoring, which is super important, but also her classes. The other thing that I want everybody to just know is she's got a fabulous blog there. So, Sherrie, you're somebody that not only did you discover your gift, but you are fully committed to helping others do that. And I wanted to thank you so much for all you're doing in the world. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. I have had such a great time today. I so much appreciate it.
And one last question. I would love to, and by the way, Sherrie's got a blog on Overcome Doubt, so check that out. What's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
Well, I think I would like to leave us kind of where we started, and that is that with so much out there in the world right now and so much kind of chaos and upheaval, go within, listen to your intuition. It's never been more important, I think, than right now to listen to your intuition, because that's really the only guide we have right now is what's true for us. As I was just saying, your intuition always has your highest good at mind, always 100% supportive of your highest, best, most divine, beautiful self. And so when we can listen to that part of us and trust that, no matter what's happening out there, we're going to be guided in a positive, good way.
Wow. Thank you, Sherrie. Thank you so much. And for those of you, the book, please, this is what it's called. You Are Psychic. Develop your natural intuition through your psychic type. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, Sherrie. And I hope you will come back so we can do part 2.
Definitely. Thanks so much.
And by the way, there are experiences in the book. There are exercises in the book. There are things we didn't get to talk about, colors. There's a reason that I bought now my latest vehicle that I'm leasing is a bright orange Rogue. There's something about that color that I had to read Sherrie's book to find that out. Thank you, Sherrie. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
All right, Benny, we're going to take a shorty. We'll be right back with more of the Dr. Pat Show.
Preceding audio was via a Skype call.